Alrighty, welcome back to another live stream on high altitude investing. Today is the 9th of January 2026, and it's going to be a good day, a good live stream, good day to talk about crypto, what's coming in these markets, and some of the stuff that I see in the charts. So let me go ahead and share the link on X. Already shared it to my Discord, and we'll get going with the live stream. Cool. So first let's talk about Bitcoin, good old BTC. As you guys can see, I have Bitcoin pulled up in comparison to the S&P 500. The S&P 500 fell in 2025. Really during like March and April, it fell off a cliff, and then Bitcoin fell towards the end of the year in 2025. So it's basically lagging behind the S&P. Did the same pattern, very similar pattern with this topping structure right here, this topping structure up here. Very vertical decline for Bitcoin and for the S&P. Even some bounces along the way down on both of them. They look very similar. So there's a lot of similarities between these two charts, right? Between Bitcoin currently and the S&P 500. Really just Bitcoin fell towards the end of the year, and the S&P 500 fell at the beginning of the year in April and March, right? But it's the same pattern in every particular. Subtle differences, I guess, like if you were to look at the microscopic differences, you could find some, but overall it's the same pattern and the same structure in the market. Now you can see what happened to the S&P 500 here. The S&P 500 bounced up, came back down to support, and then went all the way to the moon. So we have this kind of bounce, pullback, recovery sort of pattern here on the S&P, right? And if we look at Bitcoin, we've already started to do the bounce and pullback part of that pattern. So now we're looking for the recovery part of the pattern to come. But there's a lot of similarities between these charts. And like I said, the S&P 500 fell first, then Bitcoin fell, so it's basically lagging behind the S&P. So looking at Bitcoin here in the big picture, I do expect a full recovery on Bitcoin all the way back up to our previous all-time high at 126,000, at which point we should break above that level with no problem, just like how the S&P did. You can also see that the S&P 500 is breaking out as we speak. So the stock market is strong, which is a good thing. We definitely want to see strength in the stock market because Bitcoin and the crypto markets have a bigger correlation to the stock market than a lot of people would care to admit. They're very, very correlated. And if you look right here, there's an inverse head and shoulders on the S&P 500, which we broke above. And we're starting to break out, which is really good for the crypto markets. We should see money coming in to crypto because crypto is viewed as a risk-on asset. Overall, it's still viewed as a risk-on asset. Now, during COVID, when people panic sold their stocks, crypto dropped at the beginning, but then crypto pumped all through the pandemic, right? So there is an aspect of crypto where people kind of look at it as a safe haven asset as well, but for the most part, crypto is still viewed as a risk-on asset, something that you're risking your capital when you put money into. So let's see who's tuning in. What is up? Operation Shutdown. Thank you for taking some time to tune into today's live stream. Paul, what is up? Thank you for tuning in. Cool. So yeah, you guys get the point with Bitcoin. I expect a full recovery in price very soon. Very vertical recovery, just like what happened to the S&P. This should lead to a lot of profitability in our accounts and a lot of, just green across the board with crypto, like in all of your favorite altcoins as well. So let's close out of that. Let's take a look at the smaller time frame with Bitcoin as well. What's happening here on the smaller time frame. So on the smaller time frame, we have a pretty clear Adam and Eve double bottom pattern. Let's go to the 6 hour. Just pull up an example of the Adam and Eve double bottom. It's pretty much a textbook Adam and Eve double bottom pattern here with Bitcoin. So let's pull this thing up. If we can find the example that I like to use. Here we go. Cool. So this is an Adam and Eve double bottom. And basically the way that works is, just as a general rule of thumb, we tend to think of masculine, like the male side of things, to be more hard, sharp angles, you know, and feminine to be more rounded. So that's what an Adam and Eve double bottom is we have a V-shaped bottom for the left side of the bottom, like this, very sharp angles, right? And then we have a rounded bottom for the right side of the bottom, which is, you know, like I said, more rounded. So that's an Adam and Eve double bottom. This would be the Adam side of the pattern, and this is the Eve side of the pattern right here. And if you look right here, we should get a breakout above this level. We rejected at resistance. That's totally normal. This is a major resistance level coming back down to support. Totally normal for us to do that. And now we're bouncing off the 618 level. So if we measure from the bottom of this swing low to this swing high, you can see we're bouncing off the 618. And if we measure from the bottom of this swing low to this swing high, we're bouncing off the 50%. Now the reason that's important is because the algorithms, the trading bots that trade these markets, basically the way they're programmed is they're programmed to defend the 618 level and the 50% level. So there's just AIs, algorithms, bots. The way they're designed is to basically, from in a bear market, from swing high to swing low, they defend those levels in this direction, right? From swing high to swing low, they'll short those levels. And in a bull market, or the beginning of a bull market or a bullish trend, then you'll see those levels defended on the upside as well. So if you're going like this in an uptrend, you'll come back down to those levels, so like this. You'll come back down to those levels, and that's where the algorithms are programmed to place their orders, is the 618 and the 50% level, basically the golden ratio. They start buying at the 50%, then they really double down at the 618, which, as you guys know, is the golden ratio, which is found all throughout nature. This is the mathematics of nature, basically, to find this golden ratio. You can find it all throughout life in seashells, just everywhere, right? Even if you look at the Mona Lisa, right? If you're looking at Leonardo da Vinci's work, there's golden ratios all through everything he did, because he understood this basic mathematical principle of nature, and it's found in the human ear, it's found in seashells, everywhere, right? You'll find the golden ratio. So that level, that's where the AIs, the algorithms, are programmed to literally defend the 50%. Like I said, in a bull market, they'll buy those levels. In a bear market, coming down on the other direction, let me delete there. In a bear market, they'll short those levels. So it'll pull back up and they'll short those levels like that. So with Bitcoin, let's delete this, clear up our chart here so it looks nice and clean. With Bitcoin, we should see a bullish reaction off of the 50% and the 618, which is exactly where we are resting currently. Again, from swing low right here, the swing high, we're on the 50%. And then from this swing low to this swing high, we're at the 618. So both of those levels are pretty key. And if you look from the bottom here as well, from the very bottom of this correction at 80,000 up to the top right here, you can see what level did the bulls defend, what levels did the buyers defend. Well, it was the 618 level. I mean, it went a little bit below here, as you can see. We pulled back a little bit, but basically from this swing low right here to this swing high up here, that 618 and that 50% level, you can see there was a lot of buy orders at that level, and that's where we started to see a recovery on Bitcoin. So those are pretty important things to be aware of. So yeah, like I said, we see an Adam and Eve double bottom for Bitcoin. We should see more continuation, more upside, more recovery off of these lows. The second that we break above this neckline clearly, you can see the neckline breakout here on the example. The second that we clearly break above that neckline, that confirms this Adam and Eve double bottom right here. And it's a huge buy signal for Bitcoin. We should see a lot of money coming in really quickly the second we can confirm this pattern and break above that level here on Bitcoin. But overall, I'm bullish. I think we will break above that level. We're extremely oversold, and we should see a bullish reaction. We should break through that. I accidentally pressed the airplane mode button on my laptop again. I got to figure out how to go into Windows and completely disable my airplane mode button, because every once in a while when I'm doing these live streams, I'll accidentally hit that airplane mode button on my laptop. It is so, it's like, no. Anyways, basically what I was saying, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. Once we break above that neckline pattern, we should see a lot of money coming in like this, and a huge influx of bullish movement here with Bitcoin, and an influx of capital as well coming into the market. Hopefully my live stream didn't completely stop. It looks like it's working again. Gotta disable that airplane mode button. It is, there's been like 2 or 3 times where I've accidentally pressed the airplane mode when I'm doing these live streams. It's like, dang. But oh well, it is what it is, right? I'll just figure out a way to disable it. So yeah, that's my view on Bitcoin. Should see a strong recovery. Things are looking pretty dang good, and I'm pretty excited about it. Skidmark Steven 69 says you should check out XPR, friend. Great ecosystem. You know, you're not the first person that have asked me to do XPR analysis in these live streams. I'm happy to pull up the chart right now and take a look and see what's happening with this coin. So it still looks pretty much the same as the last time I did analysis on it. This would be an expanded flat correction here for this coin. So let's go to the 5-day candlesticks, and we'll take a look at what's happening here. So expanded flat correction. Let's pull this up here. Let's use this one is a good one. Basically, in a bull market, an expanded flat correction looks kind of like this. So instead of a standard zigzag correction that looks like this, right? This would be a standard ABC zigzag. An expanded flat looks like this, where you go up a little bit over the top and then back down a little bit below the top, and it looks kind of like this. And you can see that's exactly what happened here with XPR network. We did an expanded flat correction. So there's our A wave, our B wave up here. We come a little bit below the bottom of wave A, and that's an expanded flat correction. So this should lead to continuation for this coin. We should see another breakout. This would all be wave 1 and 2 like this, wave 1 and wave 2, leading into another bullish move here for another breakout. So it's basically just an ABC correction. It just looks different than your normal zigzag correction that looks like that, right? Just a different type of structure that the market can take during an Elliott wave correction. But the result of the pattern is still the same. The result still leads to a bullish breakout, to recovery, especially here in the context of this being wave 2. For XPR, we should see a pretty big breakout up for a big wave 3 that will be very bullish and very exciting to ride, to see happen. John Cook says, morning, excited to hear about T-Fuel. Yeah, so my T-Fuel theta T-drop analysis is pretty much the same as what I was talking about last time. We basically just have a perfect correction here. So let's pull up T-Fuel. perfect big picture market cycle, big rally, big pullback. I've ran over this like 100 times, so I really don't need to go into a lot of detail here. But essentially, we're in the depression phase of the Wall Street cheat sheet. So if we pull this thing up and we're looking at it in the big picture for T-Fuel, this is euphoria up here. This is anger right here. And this is depression or also despair, depending on which market cycle example you're looking at. So here's euphoria, anger, depression. That's where we're at. So that's the best place to be buying any coin, any stock, anything in the world is in the depression phase of the cycle. This is where silver was in when I posted a chart on my trading view. If you guys don't know, I was bullish on silver in 2020 when oil went negative. Silver pulled back to like $12 and I posted a chart letting people know I was bullish on silver. Let's go to all of the silver charts here. Because it was in the depression phase of its cycle, which this isn't an altcoin, so it's not going to be as big of a pullback, right? This is silver, so the depression phase isn't going to be quite as pronounced as it would be with like T-Fuel or Theta or any of those altcoins that are highly volatile. But here in 2020, when oil went negative because of futures markets and stuff, I posted a bullish chart on my trading view letting people know I was very bullish on silver because it was in the depression phase of the cycle down here at $12 right there. So this is euphoria, anger, depression, right? That final crash where people get shaken out of the market. So this is what can happen when a market breaks out of depression. It goes from depression to disbelief. That's where silver was here in 2022, disbelief. And then now we're starting this new cycle for silver. It looked exactly, one of the reasons I knew that silver was going to break out so hard, whenever people would ask me, hey Dallin, do you think silver is going to go up? I'd always say yes. I think silver is going to go up. I really do. It looks amazing. All through this whole period, even when silver was right here at like $14 before we went into depression, I knew it was undervalued. And the reason I knew is because I'd taken this really awesome course on market cycles and paid thousands of dollars to take this course. And it taught me basically everything that I needed to know about the way markets work in terms of cycles. And I got really excited and started looking at all these different charts, silver, gold, everything. I was just studying, applying what I had learned. And I looked over silver and thought, you know, silver looks exactly like the NASDAQ. Let's pull up the NASDAQ. Here's the NASDAQ during the internet bubble. Here's a big rally for the internet bubble. This was euphoria up here. Pullback, right? Big double bottom. And I was like, dude, silver looks exactly like the NASDAQ. So even when silver was like right here and right here, or even right here, all through this whole period, because I took that course back in like 2017 and started looking at silver, started really looking at silver a lot, like right here. And actually it was about right here. I started really looking at silver a lot. Because I had taken that course, because I had learned about market cycles, it was pretty easy for me to spot that this internet bubble example, which is pretty much the market cycle chart, looked exactly like silver. So it's pretty key, it's pretty important to understand the way these cycles work. So the reason I can look at T-Fuel and Theta or a lot of different coins right now in the markets is because I can look at those cycles, and you guys can do this too. You just have to understand the human emotion that happens in these cycles, and you can get a pretty good idea of where you're at. You can get a pretty good idea of where, in terms of the cycle, where you're at, and whether it's a good time to buy or whether it's a good time to sell, right? So silver breaking out, no surprise, totally expected, something I've been planning for, looking for quite some time. And you can see in the chart, it's really following the NASDAQ as the NASDAQ broke out after the internet bubble, right? Look how high the NASDAQ went. Here's the bottom of the internet bubble here in 2003. Look how much it grew since then. So silver, it's going to have corrections along the way up, but overall this thing is going to be trending up. It's going to be going up and breaking out for quite some time. Z-Man 1583 says, hey, you truly think the market is going to rebound? How is the average person putting money into altcoins? 2021, people had stimulus checks and now people can't even afford to live. I don't see it. But love to listen to you, and I'm very enthusiastic, and I hope we go up because like I told you, I got a lot of money in Dogecoin. Yeah, so the economy can look really bad at certain times. People were saying the same thing in March of 2020. How do you, because I was bullish on crypto when COVID, when we had the COVID drop in March of 2020, people were saying, how is that possible? How is it going to recover? The economy's really bad, all this different stuff. And yeah, there were stimulus checks during that period of time. So there was a little bit of a difference in terms of inflation and those kinds of things. But really, the cycles tell you all that you need to know. People didn't expect stimulus checks in March of 2020. We didn't know for sure what was going to happen for quite some time. So it took time for all of that to come to fruition. So even though it can have the appearance of, oh, there's nothing economically that's going to create a recovery in the market, a lot of times you will get a recovery in the market and you will get the economic factors to make that recovery possible, even when it looks like it's not going to happen. In fact, the fact that it doesn't look like there's the right economic conditions right now, depending on who you ask, obviously, there's usually people that will come out and say, hey, look, the economy needs help. We should fix that. So it's usually when the economy looks really bad that people start to go ahead and do things, take actions and take measures to fix it. And then that's where you'll see the recovery happen. So I do believe we will get a full recovery in crypto, to answer your question. Joe Shorty 6844 says, good morning from Australia. Came across you via Crypto 7. Enjoying your content. Would you mind looking at INC on Pulse Chain? I actually don't know who Crypto 7 is. I don't know if that's a YouTuber or something that shouted me out, but cool. I mean, it's cool to see people might be talking about my channel and stuff on other channels. Sam Walker says, how's Telecoin looking? Thanks. Yeah, I'll get to all of your requests in just a second, you guys. 798 Welder says, this definitely makes this drive from Oregon to Ohio better. 37 hours, about 2,500 miles. Union pipe filter job for Meta. Hope this is the last hitch. Big hope for Theta run this year. Yeah, we should see a big run this year, and I'm glad that this live stream is adding some, it's making your drive a little bit more enjoyable and stuff for you. All right, so let's check out INC on Pulse Chain. I can already tell you, because I've looked at this chart before, it looks pretty good, If we take a look at Pulse or INC on Pulse Chain here, these big crashes like this big accumulation cycle, this is actually what all of the altcoins looked like before 2017 happened. So let's pull up Litecoin's a good example of this. We'll pull up Litecoin on Bitfinex and take a look here. Where is it? Litecoin. There we go, Litecoin on Bitfinex. Let's pull up the daily chart and let's drag over here over to our correction. So let's pull up actually we'll go to the 4-day. It'll look a little bit better here. So this is what Litecoin looked before 2017 happened. A lot of altcoins look like this right now. Basically they've done the same accumulation that happened before. We had a big run in 2017. So if you look right here, here's Litecoin. Here's the accumulation cycle that happened on Litecoin before our big rally in 2017, our big run up to a new all-time high on Litecoin, right? So when I say, oh, look, this looks really good, people sometimes think, well, that doesn't look good to me. But if you go back and you study some of these accumulation cycles and what they look like before they pump, you'll get a better idea of what these coins do before they break out and go to the moon. And if you look at INC here, it really does look a lot like Litecoin before Litecoin broke out and went to the moon. Same type of accumulation. If you see a chart that looks like this, usually it's being accumulated at really dirt cheap prices. Obviously, if there's no development, if there's no reason for it to pump, if there's nothing happening with that coin, if it's just a dead meme coin, or if there's no reason to believe that it's going to pump, if it's not on a major exchange, if it's not being accumulated, if there's no reason, then yeah, you probably don't want to buy a chart that looks like this. But if there's a good reason for it to pump and it looks like this, it's probably a big accumulation cycle leading to some type of a vertical breakout. That breakout can be small sometimes. It could look like this, or it can be really vertical and go all the way to a new all-time high, like what happened with Litecoin in 2017. So I do like this setup here with INC. It looks pretty good, if you ask me. Now let's pull up Telcoin. So Telcoin is a pretty similar story as well, as far as a good looking chart. A little bit of a different fractal here we're going to pull up for Telcoin. We're going to pull up the Ethereum fractal and take a look at what happened to Ethereum. So this kind of goes along with what I was talking about with market cycles and knowing where you're at in the cycle and kind of determining what to do with your capital based on where you're at in the cycle, right? So here's Ethereum on the right and here's Telcoin on the left. We'll pull up like the 5-day for Ether. So Ethereum in 2020 was basically the same point in its cycle as where Telcoin is right now. So if we pull up our ABC correction, here's wave A, B, and C, pulling down to our all-time low. Same with Ether, ABC, all the way down to the all-time low. And then here is the disbelief phase for Ethereum right here. And here's a disbelief phase for Telcoin as well. So same point in the cycle, I still expect a big rally for Telcoin, a big moon to happen on this coin. Especially if you zoom into this thing, we do have a falling wedge pattern right here. Falling wedge. It's a very bullish pattern. We broke bullish out of that wedge and we're coming back down and testing it as support. So that's pretty common to have that happen. We should test this level of support and start to turn around and rally in the big picture. But in terms of where it's at in its cycle, it's in the disbelief phase of the market cycle. We should see a big rally, a big run, all the way up to a new all-time high, just like what happened with Ethereum, right? Z-Man says, but you are 100% right on all of the alts. I think right now we're in that same phase, and this is a perfect buying opportunity. You buy the fear when we're down this low. Yeah, it's best to buy down this low when we're really oversold and when there's a lot of fear in the market and people are pretty afraid. Usually a pretty good time to be picking up your crypto at those levels, right? Mohammed Frakrula 4193 says, hi Dallin, what do you think of Wrapped Dog? I'm still bullish on Wrapped Dog, man. I'm still, as they say, wrapped and ready. I believe in the great rapture. I love Wrapped Dog memes. This thing it looks really good to me. If we pull up on Mexi here and turn the volume back on, there's a ton of volume down here for Wrapped Dog. Huge ABC correction down here. This too kind of looks like Litecoin before it pumped in 2017. It's virtually free. Like you could buy a bunch of this thing for like nothing. But look at all this accumulation down here. Tons of accumulation on MEXC at the bottom of a huge ABC correction. So I'm still a big wrapped dog bull. I still really believe in this coin, this meme coin, seeing a big run all the way to a new all-time high for a big rally in 2026. And it looks really good to me. So I'm still a big bull for that coin. What about Miggles? I don't know. Let's pull it up. I've literally never heard of Miggles before. Miggles on Poloniex. Miggles USD. Let's see if we can find somewhere that has volume, because I don't like to look without volume. KuCoin. Mr. Miggles on KuCoin. Yeah, so this too is at the bottom of a big ABC. So we have our A wave here, our B wave and our C wave coming down. We're extremely oversold down here. I don't know much about this. Let's look it up, Mr. Miggles. See mrmiggles.io. So this is a base meme coin on Coinbase. Looks like it's available on MEXC and KuCoin and Gate.io as well as Base. Looks like there's a 10,000 piece NFT collection with merch. And, you know, this looks like it could, as far as the actual meme coin goes, this looks pretty good. Doesn't look too bad. Their website looks nice. It's on major exchanges. It's really good to see that. It's good to see if it's on KuCoin or MEXC or Base or Gate.io. That if it's on lots of places, it's usually going to be accumulated by big exchanges to some degree because they have to have liquidity. And a lot of these big exchanges, what they do is they accumulate all of these coins that get added to their exchange. Then when the bull market happens, they're holding all of these coins and they pump really hard. They're able to take a bunch of profits with some of the liquidity that they've been accumulating. And so if it's on a bunch of major exchanges, it doesn't always mean it's going to pump. But in a bull market, a lot of times you'll just see all of those coins start to pump on major exchanges, right? So this looks pretty good as far as that goes. The bottom of a big ABC. You guys already know I'm super bullish on Bitcoin. We have Bitcoin dominance, which looks like it's ready to just fall off a cliff here. We have a big rising wedge on Bitcoin dominance. In terms of cycle analysis, you can see from our peak low here to our peak low over here, we have this clear cycle that's forming with Bitcoin dominance. So we should drop off a cliff here with Bitcoin dominance, in which case we're going to see a lot of money coming into a lot of meme coins, a lot of altcoins. Yeah, Bitcoin will pump too, because it always does during a major bull market, but Bitcoin dominance will be going down and altcoins should see a big run during that period of time. Conscious Contact says the Rhapsody. Like I said, rap dog memes are so funny. The Great Rapture, the Rhapsody, stay wrapped and ready. Like, it's just the stuff that people say. It's hilarious. I would love your thoughts on File and Mana. I was actually looking at Filecoin just the other day thinking, dude, this thing looks so good. I was like, holy cow. This looks amazing. Let's pull up Filecoin here in the big picture. We'll zoom out a little bit here. Filecoin in the big picture looks really good. This looks pretty much identical to all of the altcoins before 2017 happened. Not only are we at the bottom of this huge, massive ABC correction, which is a common crypto thing to have happen, right? Especially with these altcoins, they have these big, just terribly bloody, brutal ABC corrections. And then at the bottom, you'll see volume coming in. And at which point you usually see some type of double bottom pattern and a recovery coming in the market, right? So not only with Filecoin are we at the bottom of this massive ABC correction, but take a look at Litecoin, man. Take a look at what Litecoin looked like during that same period of time. Let's pull up old LTC, or not same period of time, but same point in the fractal, same point in the accumulation pattern before 2017 happened, right? Here's Litecoin on the right. Here's Filecoin on the left. The amount of coins that look like this is crazy. That's why I'm like, you guys, we literally have all of the reasons to be bullish on crypto. Like, all of these fractals look perfect. People are freaking out. They all think the top is in. People are really convinced that crypto is just this eternal pump and dump, that it's never going to become mass adopted or used by real people. But in the background, all these big institutions are building infrastructure. All these big companies are planning to integrate it into their technology, like to where it's literally mass adopted by the public, right? That's where crypto is headed. And all these fractals, like I said, they look perfect. So we have this just perfect alignment of all of these reasons to be bullish, and yet most people think it's the top. They think, oh, this is the top of a big 4-year cycle. It's over. We're going to dump. Crypto's dead. That's the narrative. But if you look at these altcoins, they look like right before 2017. That's what they look like. And it's crazy. It looks so good. So also, if you guys look at this, there's just so many examples. Let's pull up Digibyte, right? Keep Litecoin over here on the right. And let's pull up Digibyte over here on the left. I accidentally was going to put it on the right. Look at this. Digibyte, the same thing, same story. The bottom of this big accumulation, this big correction. This isn't overbought. The people that think altcoins are overvalued right now, they're only looking at like XRP, but XRP isn't overvalued. It started wave 1 and wave 2, but they think that it's overvalued because it started to pump. But just because something starts to pump doesn't mean that it's automatically going to see a correction. In 2017, everybody tried to call a top the entire way up till it was the actual top, and then nobody tried to call it except for like 3 people. But they were trying to call a top like the entire time, right? Like right here, like everybody tried to call a top the whole way up in 2017. So markets, when they start these uptrends, they can go way high. So when you think of XRP, people think, oh, XRP's got to be in the top of its cycle, right? It started to pump, and now it's time for it to dump. But you guys, XRP could literally be like, just comparing the Litecoin fractal. If you look at Litecoin right here, Litecoin started to pump in 2017, pulled back right here. Everybody thought it was the beginning of a bear market, and then Litecoin went all the way to a new all-time high. So XRP could easily be like right here, or even right here, in terms of where it's at in its cycle. It doesn't have to be the top just because it pumped. In fact, the trend is your friend. So a lot of times you'll expect that trend to continue. And if you're looking for reversals, you want to look at these fractals, because that can give you an idea of where the trend can see a reversal. But if you're just starting a new big picture trend, you should expect that thing to continue, not to just dump and die. And with Digibyte here, back to Digibyte in terms of the fractal, it looks like this trend is ready to reverse, just like how Litecoin did in 2017. And once it starts to go, all of these altcoins, XRP, Digibyte, all of the Litecoin in the big picture, all of these altcoins should see massive pumps, big rallies. I'm telling you guys, this is the big picture mass adoption cycle for crypto. That's literally where we're set up for crypto. Nobody believes it. Nobody thinks it's going to happen. But that's literally where we're at. Look at Litecoin just on its own, okay? Do you guys think this thing is overvalued or undervalued? Like just looking at the chart, you know, this thing is not overvalued. Let's pull up a channel, for example. Okay, we'll pull up just a parallel channel, and we'll go from the bottom here over to here. We're not at the top of this channel. We're basically at the bottom of this channel, at the point where we've seen massive price increases every time we've tested that level historically. Like, yeah, we went sideways for quite some time, but low volatility usually leads to an increase in volatility. So just because there's been low volatility right here for multiple years, that's not a bad thing. Low volatility usually leads to an increase in volatility. And if you're at the bottom of the chart, that volatility is most probabilistically, in terms of probability, going to be on the upside, not on the downside. So Litecoin, just looking at Litecoin, is not overvalued. Litecoin is undervalued. Take a look at Litecoin versus the NVIDIA chart, which I've shown this probably 1,000 times now since the past couple of years when I've really been talking about a big picture mass adoption cycle for crypto. But look at this. I'm telling you, NVIDIA over here on the right and Litecoin over here on the left. If you guys want to know what Litecoin is doing, go look at what happened to NVIDIA before it was mass adopted. Go study the accumulation cycle it went through before it became a household name. And with crypto, I believe crypto is going to become a household name, not just something that speculative investors are interested in, not just something that super nerds are interested in, but something that everyday people use because it's useful and better than their Visa card. Like, that's what's coming in the big picture for crypto. And if you look at these charts, they really look a lot like what happened to other technologies is they were accumulated in the big picture before they went to the moon and became a household name. Even right down to the volume. Look at this volume right here during this pump and dump right here, and this volume right here during this pump and dump right here. And look at Litecoin over here. Same thing. Same volume analysis as well. Same structure in terms of volume. So this is the same thing, you guys. We are prepared in the big picture for a really big run in these crypto markets with Litecoin, with a lot of coins. They look eerily similar to what happened to new technologies as they were being developed and before they became a household name, like I said. Even just looking at XLM, okay? Maybe you don't like Litecoin. Well, look at XLM. Take a look at XLM in the big picture as well. XLM looks a lot like NVIDIA. Multi-year accumulation in the big picture. So the idea that this coin is just going to, or the idea that crypto is just going to do this, like people that believe the 4-year cycle is just going to happen forever, this is what they believe is going to happen to these charts. Do you guys really think it's just going to go like this sine wave forever? When crypto is a new developing technology that is seriously set up to change the world? Just like how the internet or computers did? And yet people think it's just going to do this sine wave, just 4-year cycles forever. It's ridiculous to me. Like, that's so dumb. If you really think about it, go look at other technologies. Look at NVIDIA alone. Let's pretend we're just looking at only NVIDIA, okay? This is what happened when NVIDIA became a household name, okay? Look how much it grew. Look how much, when adoption happened, when the S-curve happened for NVIDIA, S-curve, if you don't know what an S-curve is, go look at what an S-curve is. It's basically where the demand for new technology becomes so great that it becomes mass adopted by the public. It's like a rollover from it being innovative, new, something only nerds are doing, to become something that everybody knows about. That's what happens during an S-curve. The demand grows so much that it just doesn't stop growing. That's what happened to computers and the internet. That's why if you look at the NASDAQ after the internet bubble, there's just this huge pump. Why? Because the internet changed the world economically and added a lot of economic value to the world. So if you look at NVIDIA, look at this growth. This is what happened when it went from just being a new technology people were interested in to becoming an S curve, going through an S curve and becoming a household name or something that was mass adopted by the public. The laptop that I'm using to do this live stream, my gaming laptop here, has an NVIDIA graphics card in it, right? It's a household name. Like 4-year-old, well, maybe not 4-year-olds, but like 6 and 7-year-old boys can tell you everything about NVIDIA graphics cards these days. Like it's something everybody knows about. But NVIDIA, it had a couple, not quite 4-year cycles, but pretty much a cycle, right? It was in its own cycle. If we count how many years, we'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, like a 5-year cycle NVIDIA was doing. But it didn't do that forever. It's not like it just went like this forever. You know, it broke out into a new trend and broke out of that pattern and then went into a huge bullish trend. And yeah, it's had some pretty gnarly corrections along the way up. Like, look at this. That's a 56% decline. Imagine how many people would have panic sold during this drop right here. Or even this drop right here, right? 68% decline. People would have been panic selling. So it's not like, yeah, it started an uptrend, but it's not like it just started an uptrend without corrections. When crypto gets mass adopted by the public, there will be corrections on crypto. But I can't, in all honesty and good conscience, believe that crypto is just going to do this forever. That doesn't make any sense to me. At all. It doesn't make any logical sense at all. So that's why I'm like, you guys, the 4-year cycle is not the end all be all. It's not the one ticket into understanding how crypto will work for all eternity. You know. Matt Osty says, love the Friday live streams. Smash those likes, friends. Yeah, thank you for tuning in, Matt. I always appreciate you tuning into these streams. I would love your thoughts. Oh, I already did Filecoin. You know how people are saying that we are in a VA market, and then some optimistic and saying we're going to see highs in 26. What if we see both? What if we go down to like 7,200, then pump up to an all-time high? That wouldn't be my first bet for this market, my first view. And the reason is because Bitcoin is extremely oversold right now. Like most people, if you look at Bitcoin right now, you know, go look at these historical corrections, all right? Like this one or even the one that we're currently in, you could look at. But this is a standard correction on Bitcoin, okay? We pull back. Trust me, I was trading Bitcoin during this period of time. I was bullish on Bitcoin here at 50K at the bottom of this correction. And a lot of people thought, oh, we're going to go for a low down to 30K, but it never happened. So this is what it looks like when a market is in the bottom of a dip, you know. Or right here too. Here's another dip. People thought we were going to go down here, 74, but we didn't. People think right now we're going to go down currently on Bitcoin. But are we? I don't know. It looks more like we're at the bottom of one of these corrections. I would not lean towards being bearish on Bitcoin currently. It just looks like something has been doing the whole way up, and we should see a nice recovery up to a new all-time high, just like we did every other time that we did this. So I would definitely lean towards buying instead of just selling down here, or even if you're not selling, even if you're just expecting another correction. I think it's more likely that we see a reversal and we see a recovery because of the nature of these corrections. And the fact that we're oversold rather than overbought in this market. So yeah, I'd lean towards a reversal rather than a correction here. Let's see. Kevin Parachui says, thank you. Well, thank you. I appreciate you tuning in, man. Blockchain 5456 says, please take a look at GRT, please. So my view on GRT definitely hasn't changed. Looks good as far as the short term. I was talking about this with all of these altcoins, how they had this big liquidity grab right here. Then they came back down into that wick, this big wick right here. If you don't know what a candlestick wick is, it's that big line that doesn't have a candlestick body like we see right here. And I've been talking about with a lot of these altcoins how they should start to recover, because that's a pretty common bottoming pattern in the market, where you see a flash crash, which is a big wick, then the market comes back down, tests the liquidity, and then reverses like that. That's a pretty common thing. And we came back down to almost the very bottom of that wick, and now we see a bullish engulfing candlestick right here. And we started to recover, which is a really good sign. Bullish engulfing is usually a reversal pattern. So if we pull up the bullish engulfing pattern here, take a look here. Where is it? There's a lot of examples here. Here's a really good looking example. So this is what a bullish engulfing candlestick looks like. And that's what we see here with GRT. We see a bullish engulfing candle down here at the bottom of, as it came down to the bottom of that wick. So that's a reversal pattern. We also see increasing price and volume at the same time. So we have increasing price and volume. So that's bullish. That shows that we're seeing strength coming back into this market. And we should see more upside here for GRT in the very short term. I love that bullish engulfing candlestick down there. It looks really nice. And even if we zoom out to the 15-day, this is also painting a bullish engulfing candlestick on the 15-day, so that looks really good. In the big picture, the big ABC, right? A, B, and C all the way down here. And if we compare it over to like a standard crypto correction, it looks pretty much like every crypto correction we've ever seen. A really good example would be Ethereum. If we pull up Ethereum, forgot to switch. There we go. Pull up Ethereum over here. ETH. And we look at Ethereum on the right and GRT over here on the left. You can see that Ethereum looks a lot like GRT. So we have our false bottom right here, our true bottom right here, potential true bottom on GRT. Ethereum has our false bottom right here and our true bottom right there. So it should turn around here in the big picture. It's set up to see a big turnaround here in the big picture, just like Ethereum did at the same point in its cycle right here in March of 2020 when it finally bottomed out. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a big recovery here on GRT, a big parabolic run. Loving what I see on the smaller time frame, and in terms of the bigger picture, we should see a big rally and a big reversal as well. Iron Mike says, Happy New Year, Dallin. Well, thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. Can you check AR Weave? Sure. AR Weave. Let's see here. Let's go to a single chart. AR Weave. So this looks really good. Just right off the bat, just taking a look at this chart. We do have a bit of a wick here, but really this is a big double bottom. With a double bottom pattern, you have to give yourself the potential to have a wick. So if this low right here is a little bit lower, most double bottom patterns have a higher low, right? Where that next bottom is a higher low. But you have to give yourself a little bit of room for volatility, especially in the crypto markets. So the fact that this went just a little bit lower right here, just a little bit below this bottom right here, no problem. This is a big double bottom here for our weave. You can see this big double bottom, right? So that looks really good. This is pretty common for crypto to do stuff like this. I mean, this is what Bitcoin did in 2020, right? So let's pull up BTC. BTC on Coinbase. The only difference is Bitcoin made a higher low, but it's really the same pattern here. So if we're looking at Bitcoin on the right and AR weave on the left. Oh, come on. Let's get this, pull this up here. There we go. Cool. It's really the same thing, you guys. It's the same type of double bottom. You know, big correction, big pump, second correction. It's the same type of thing. I mean, this is what Dogecoin is doing. If you guys don't know, Dogecoin is doing the same thing. So for the people that are bearish on Dogecoin because they think it's a meme, or they're like, oh, Elon Musk isn't talking about it anymore. You guys, stop trading news. Stop basing all of your analysis on whether Elon Musk talks about something or not. Look at the charts, because Elon Musk, I posted a signal for Dogecoin down here, and then Elon Musk started talking about it when it's already too late in 2021. So you can't be waiting for some famous person or some catalyst to happen. You got to look at the charts, because they're going to tell you when it's bullish before the news articles or before celebrities are going to tell you that it's bullish. Whether it's a celebrity or whether it's somebody that's just a great innovator, you know. So if you look here at Dogecoin on the left and you look at Bitcoin over here on the right, same pattern, okay? Big pump right here, big pullback, big double bottom, you know, big double bottom. So this is a pretty common thing for crypto to do. And the AR weave coin, it's the same thing. The only difference is, pretend that you don't have the data right here, the big pump leading up to the correction. If you just were to cut everything out and just look at this point, it's at the same point in the cycle as Bitcoin was here in March of 2020, and Dogecoin is currently right now as we speak. So there's a lot of reasons to be bullish on altcoins. I mean, look at that, you guys. You know, this is the same reason. For you guys that don't know, when everybody had given up on XRP and they all thought XRP was just this dead coin, you know why I stayed bullish on XRP? And especially right here, as I started to see a breakout right here, I was like, dude, this thing is so bullish. But I was making bullish videos on XRP all through this whole period, because XRP was doing the same thing. It's the same fractal as what Bitcoin did during that same period of time. Like, it's the same thing. A big pump, big pullback, big double bottom, big recovery. So these charts repeat themselves. And yeah, there's differences, subtle differences. XRP was really low volatility in the bottom. Bitcoin was really only low volatility, like if you zoom into the chart, like right here and right here, it was low volatility. But it recovered really quickly. Bitcoin did. But in terms of the point in the cycle, this is disbelief here on Bitcoin, and this was disbelief on XRP, right? Same point in the cycle. So it works. It works to understand these cycles. It works to position yourself based on fractals. It works to understand where we're at in terms of human emotion. This stuff works. You can predict markets, and you can predict them in a way where you're like, see, look, this thing went up 300% off that low because it looked like this fractal. It's possible to do that. You don't have to give up on learning how to do this stuff. You just have to keep going until you figure it out. Frag Sauce says, oh, I already responded to you. Wolf88 Man says, what do I think of ILV coin? I don't know. Let's pull it up. Let's see. ILV. You know, I think I did analysis on this recently for somebody. I don't know if it was you during one of my last live streams or what, but I like this setup too. This looks good. This is what I'm talking about with all of these coins looking like pre 2017. That's what they look like. They look exactly like pre 2017. Let's pull up Litecoin here versus Bitfinex, or on Bitfinex, I mean. Let's see here. Litecoin. Do. It's got to be somewhere here. For some reason, Litecoin on Bitfinex is like this hidden thing, like on TradingView. Sometimes it's so hard. See, here's the Bitcoin and the UST, but I'm looking for USD. Litecoin, Bitfinex. Aha. There we go. For some reason, it hides. Like it's hard to find sometimes. So here's Litecoin on the right, and here is ILV over here on the left. I'm telling you, all of these altcoins look exactly like what the altcoin market looked like before 2017 happened. They look exactly the same. It's crazy. It's actually super cool because it tells me, you guys, don't be a bear. Don't be a big bear on these altcoins. Look how much volume there is down here on ILV. This thing is set up to turn around and blow people away. To just completely knock people's socks off and blow people away in a very, very big way. I mean, if we look at, let's see if we can find this. I don't know if the data will be here. I hope it is. But let's try to go look at Dogecoin before 2017 happened. There probably will be the data, but it might not. We'll have to just see. See, this is what Dogecoin looked like before 2017 happened. So this is what an accumulation cycle looks like, okay? It usually looks like that coin is dead. It looks like this thing went down and sideways, or down and sideways for forever. It's not going to recover. You know, that's what most people are thinking when they see these big accumulations. They see something like ILV and they're like, looks like it's dead. But look what happens, man, to these breakouts after those big accumulations. It's crazy. It's crazy how bullish. I mean, even Dogecoin before this 2021 pump, same thing. Same type of thing. A little bit more volatile here, but the same type of thing, right? Big correction, sideways movement. Even right here, it went to an all-time low. That's exactly what ILV is doing currently. It's at an all-time low right now, if you zoom into the chart. So they're behaving exactly like altcoins have always behaved before massive pumps, before full-blown recoveries, and before a huge alt season happens. And that's what I see in these charts. I see a big alt season coming for crypto in a really big way. So yeah, that's my stream for the day. I love you guys. I'm going to go work out now because I woke up a little bit later, so I haven't been to the gym yet. Appreciate all of you. Look forward to seeing you guys in future live streams, future videos. I guess I'll play a song on my guitar because I feel like I should. Just a quick little jam here. You guys pretty much request a lot of times for me to do this. So. And you know what? I don't even care if I get banned in terms of ad revenue for this live stream. I'm just going to play Here Comes the Moon, my crypto version of Here Comes the Sun, because I don't even care. Screwed. It's just ad revenue. Who really cares, right? Let's pull this up. Here Comes the Moon. So this is my crypto remake of Here Comes the Sun, you guys. Oh, and I gotta get my capo because I'm not gonna be able to sing it in this. Whoa, sing it in this key. think I should turn my microphone up a little bit too, because it might be hard to hear. Because this is kind of a kind of a ghetto setup. Okay, here we go. Just holding the microphone in between my legs. Here comes the moon, do-do-do-do. Here comes the moon, and I say, it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold crypto winter. Little darling, it feels like years since a bull market was here. Here comes the moon, do-do-do-do. Here comes the moon, and I say, it's alright. Little darling, the gains are returning to our portfolios. Little darling, it seems like years since I made 100x. Here comes the moon. Here comes the moon, and I say, it's alright. Moon, 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 here it comes. 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 Little darling, I feel that sentiment is slowly shifting. Little darling, it seems like years since alt season was here. Here comes the moon, do-do-do-do. Here comes the moon, and I say, it's alright. Here comes the moon, do-do-do-do. Here comes the moon, and I say, it's alright. It's alright. So there you go, you guys. Here comes the moon. I really believe it. We're headed into a massive alt season. It's going to be super fun. Super hyped about it. Super excited. It's been a long time coming, especially in alt season like 2017. We should see a big run in a big way, and different than what we've seen the last two times where it just pumps and dumps, you know. We should see something a lot bigger, a lot more sustained, a lot more mass adoption kind of a run for crypto, and I'm really excited about that. Yeah, I'm going to play one more song without singing, though, this time. I keep getting banned if I play music where I sing, but it's okay. It's just ad revenue. Who cares? It's because I always play songs like I rewrote this song, right, for crypto lyrics, but YouTube still thinks I'm just playing Here Comes the Sun. It can't tell. The algorithm is like not good enough to do it. So here you go. Here's Blackbird without the lyrics, just the guitar part. Here, let me get this a better microphone spot because that is way too hard to hold with my legs and play. Way too hard. Let's see here. We'll just go like this. This will work. This is my remix part. So there you guys go. I actually love playing guitar on stream. It's so much fun. It's cool that you guys like requested, like almost a lot of times you guys will request the guitar part. Yeah, that's like me playing Blackbird, but I rewrote that other part about it. So let's see. I appreciate the streams, bro, and the songs are great. I'm not Christian, but enjoyed your song about Mary and Jesus. Well, thank you. Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs. I love to play that song. Really, really fun to play that song. Okay, one more song and I'll call it a day because I got to go work out, you guys. This is probably one of my all-time favorite songs. There's this blind guy on YouTube when I was younger. I forgot his name. I'd have to go look it up. But he was blind and he could play the guitar, okay? And when I was like 11 years old, I thought, man, if this blind guy can play the guitar like that, then I should have no problem learning how to play the guitar. So then I started to play guitar. My dad had a guitar. He used to play guitar for me when I was like really young, before bed and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'll just borrow my dad's guitar and start learning how to play. So this song was literally the song that inspired me to learn how to play the guitar. It's called Malagueña. All right, you guys, have an awesome day. Look forward again, like I said, I look forward to seeing you guys in future live streams, future videos, all that good stuff. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. And as always, stay profitable out there.